I need a long and relaxing vacation.
What does she say?
She says, I need a long and relaxing vacation. I'm so exhausted that I feel like I have no energy.
What did she say?
She says she's so exhausted that she feels like she has no energy. I mean, I couldn't even keep my eyes open at work yesterday.
What is it?
She said she hadn't been able to keep her eyes open at work yesterday. Tell her to have her hearing checked.
Huh?
Nothing.
Hi everyone, welcome back to English Path. My name is Nushin and today's lesson is about reported speech. We have conversations all day, every day. And sometimes we need to tell people what other people said. Or sometimes we even have to tell them what we ourselves said. That's why it's called reported speech. We're actually reporting people's words or our own words. We can do this in two ways, directly and indirectly. Let's see what they're all about. Direct speech. When you quote a sentence, which means you don't change anything about it, and you just report the exact same words of the original sentence, you use direct speech. Like, I need a long and relaxing vacation, she said. Or, she said, or she says, I need a long and relaxing vacation. I'm using her own words without changing anything. It's not I, the reporter, who needs a long and relaxing vacation. I'm just reporting the exact same words the other person said. Punctuation is one of the most important things to learn about direct speech. Before getting to that point, I need to tell you that reported speech is always made up of two clauses. The reporting clause, like she says, he asked, and the reported clause, like I need a long and relaxing vacation. In direct speech, a comma always separates the reporting clause from the reported clause. Let's see how. If you start your sentence with the reporting clause, here are the punctuation options you have. Millie said, comma, so that's our reporting clause, quotation. The new season is in production. This is a statement. It ends with a period and then we close the quotation. Or Millie said, comma, quotation, I can't wait for you to see it, exclamation mark, quotation. This is an exclamatory sentence. Millie asked, we're reporting a question, comma, quotation, are you looking forward to watching it? Question mark, quotation. Now compare these with the following three sentences. That's when you start your sentence with the reported clause, like, quote, the new season is in production, comma, quote, Millie said. It is a statement, but I ended it with a comma because you have to separate your reporting and reported clauses with commas when you have statements. Now, quote, I can't wait for you to see it, exclamation mark, quote, Millie said. If you use said before Millie, you will not capitalize it. So, said Millie with a small s. A question, quote, are you looking forward to watching it? You end it with a question mark and then you close the quotation, Millie asked. Again, if you use asked before Millie, asked will not be capitalized. You will start it with a small a. And if your reporting clause interrupts your reported clause, here's what you do. Quote, we are filming the final season, comma, quote, Millie continued, another comma, quote, and we have worked really hard on this exciting project. It's a statement, we're ending with the reporting clause and we use a period, we close the quotation. This is when the reporting clause interrupts one sentence the person said. Now, what do we do if the original speech consisted of two or more sentences? Quote, I am really excited about the finale, period, close the quotation. So that shows this is one of the sentences the person said. Millie added, comma, quote, it is gonna be truly mind-blowing, period, close the quotation. Indirect speech, on the other hand, is used to report the original sentence in your own words and from your own perspective. Changes will usually be made to the tense, to pronouns, possessive adjectives, demonstratives, and also adverbs of place and time. For example, I have a meeting with my manager at 1 p.m., he said. He says, so I is actually he. He told me he had a meeting with his manager at 1 p.m. So we made a change to the tense. I have a meeting, we changed it to the simple past tense. I'll tell you why in a bit. We changed the pronoun I to the pronoun he, and we changed the possessive adjective my to his. Mom said, please bring the cups to the living room. Okay, my mom was in the living room. I was not. I was supposed to take the cups to the living room. So she told me to take the cups to the living room. Sometimes you have to make such kinds of changes as well because the perspective changes. Don't change the pronoun if you are the speaker or one of the people who spoke. Like, I have a headache, I said. Okay, so I doesn't have to change because I'm the person reporting my own sentence. I told Spencer I had a headache at that time. I said we will donate all these clothes. I told them we would donate all those clothes because the clothes are not here anymore. Do not change the tense if what you're reporting is still true. For example, I have a headache, Rob said. Rob says or said he has a headache. It means that Rob still has it. The book said, water expands when it freezes. This is a scientific fact. It's always true. Well, as long as we have the water we know on Earth. If you're from future generations and you live on Mars, I don't know about your water, but our water expands when it freezes. So the book said or says, water expands when it freezes because it still does. So that's why I said you usually make changes to the tense, pronouns, etc. Not always. Now, when do you make changes to the tense? Whenever you're reporting something about the past, something that was said previously or something that happened previously, you backshift, which means you change the tense of the original sentence one tense back. For example, you change the simple present tense to the simple past tense. Let's take a look at this sentence. She said, I go to work in the afternoon. The original sentence is in the simple present tense. We need to backshift it and change it one tense back to the simple past. So she said she went to work in the afternoon. The present continuous changes to the past continuous, like she said I'm going to work. She said she was going to work. If you need more explanations on tenses or if you haven't mastered them yet, you can watch this playlist here. I have taught all tenses in English and it can be helpful exercise for you if you haven't been practicing your tenses lately. The present perfect tense shifts back to the past perfect tense. Like she said, I've worked there since 2012. She said she had worked there since 2012. Present perfect, past perfect. The present perfect continuous tense changes into the past perfect continuous tense, like she said I've been working on a new project lately. She said she had been working on a new project lately. Be going to in the future changes to future in the past, was or were going to. She said I'm not going to go to work tomorrow. She said she was not going to go to work the next day. I changed tomorrow to the next day. I'm going to tell you what to do with these adverbs in a bit. Will changes to would. Like she said, we will launch our new product in September. She said they, we changed we to they, would launch their new product in September. Can changes to could. She said we can launch our new product in September. She said they could launch their new product in September. May changes to might. She said we may launch our new product in September. She said they might launch their new product in September. Must and have to backshift to had to. She said we must launch our new product in September or we have to launch it. She said they had to launch their new product in September. The simple past tense backshifts to the past perfect tense. She said, I worked in a smaller company from 2005 to 2010. She said she had worked in a smaller company at that time. The past continuous tense changes to the past perfect continuous tense, like she said I was working on 5 different projects last year. She said she had been working on different projects the year before. The past perfect tense does not backshift because there is no other tense before the past perfect tense. It is the pastest past tense ever. Like she said, I hadn't thought about the idea before. When you report it indirectly and it's about the past, you don't make any changes to the tense, only the tense. She said she hadn't thought about the idea before, so you do change the pronoun or any other words that you need to change. You just don't touch the tense. The past perfect continuous also doesn't change at all. Like she said, I had been considering another job offer, but I picked the company I'm currently working with. I don't change the tense of the past perfect continuous tense. She said she had been considering another job offer, so this remains the same, but we have to change the other ones. But she had picked, so I changed the simple past tense, picked, to the past perfect tense, had picked the company I changed I'm to she is, currently working with. Modals should, would, could, and might do not change. Like she said, I think it would be better to make a few changes to the project. She said she thinks or thought, depending on the situation. If she still thinks, we use thinks. If she thought in the past, we use thought. It would be better to make a few changes to the project. Second and third conditionals, which are unreal. I explain conditionals in this video. Please go watch it if you need more information about them. These two do not change. She said if we made announcements about the project now, we would be under too much pressure. If we made announcements, it means that they haven't made the announcement yet, right? It's unreal present, conditional type 2 or second conditional. We don't make any changes to the tense. She said if they made announcements about the project now, they would be under too much pressure. Third conditional, unreal past. She said if we had made announcements about the project earlier, we would have been under too much pressure. They didn't do it earlier, okay? So they weren't under pressure. It is about an unreal past situation. She said if they had made announcements about the project earlier, they would have been under too much pressure. Changing adverbs, demonstratives, etc. Now changes to then. Today changes to that day. Yesterday changes to the day before or the previous day. Tomorrow changes to the next day. This month, that month. Last month, the month before, or the previous month, or the month earlier. Last year, the previous year, or the year before. If you know the number of the year, you could even use the number.
Then again, depending on the situation, you may not have to change these adverbs of time at all. Now may be the moment you are reporting the sentence, or today may be the day you are doing it. So obviously you will not have to change those words.
Here, there. This, that. These, those. That, there. Those, again, there. Come, go, depending on the situation. Depending on the position of the speaker, on the position of the listener. Bring changes to take, again, depending on the situation. If you're still in the position you were supposed to bring something to, you will use bring. If you are not there anymore, you will use take, and you have to just weigh the situation. And these are not the only changes you make. Again, I would like to emphasize that depending on the situation, you will make changes, and these are just some of the most common ones. Fun fact, the reported clause in indirect statements is actually a noun clause that you can start with that. Here's my lesson about noun clauses. It's a very thorough lesson. I recommend that you go and watch it after this video. For example, I told them that I intended to investigate further. This is the most formal way of reporting a sentence like I intend to investigate further. In informal speech, you can drop that. I told them I intended to investigate further. To report yes-no questions indirectly, you will use if, whether or not. For example, does Amy know he's lying to her? She thought. She wondered, or she thought, if Amy knew he was lying to her. This is a yes-no question. The answer is either yes or no. So we reported using if. Another option is using whether. She wondered whether Amy knew he was lying to her. And you can also use whether or not. She wondered whether Amy knew he was lying to her or not. This is mostly informal and used in speech. Indirect WH questions are reported using noun clauses. And as I said in my lesson about noun clauses, you know that noun clauses do not take question format. They are in statement format, which means you start with the subject and then you use your verb. There is no auxiliary or verb used before the subject. For example, Thomas asked, where can I hang the sign? This is a WH question. Thomas asked where he could hang the sign. You change the tense, you change can to could, and you bring your subject before the auxiliary, where he could hang the sign. So one more time, I would like to remind you that noun clauses and also indirect WH questions do not take question format, which means if you say Tom asked where could he hang the sign, it'll be wrong. Plus, reported questions do not end with question marks. They end with periods because they're statements. We're reporting a question. We're not asking a question. To report requests, invitations, or instructions, use the following structures. For positive requests, etc., use reporting verb, indirect object, to do something. For example, ask somebody to do something. Tell somebody to do something. And for negatives, use reporting verb, indirect object, not to do something. Ask someone not to do something. Tell someone not to do something. For example, please turn off the lights, he said. He told me to turn off the lights. It's a request. Would you like to join us for dinner? They said. They invited us to join them for dinner. An invitation. Do not press the red button unless there's an emergency, the manual said. An instruction. The manual said not to press the red button unless there's an emergency. How to punctuate indirect speech. It is more common to start your sentence with the reporting clause like, she said, he told me to. But if you choose to start your sentence with the reported clause in indirect speech, you will use a comma after the reported clause like, she said she would get her car fixed. No comma needed. She would get her car fixed, comma, she said. And as I just mentioned, do not use exclamation marks or question marks in indirect speech. I know it is one of every English learner's biggest nightmares when it comes to choosing between say and tell. I'm here to help you. Do not worry, just listen carefully. Use say when you don't want to mention the listener, when you just want to say what has been said, when you just want to report something. Use say. For example, she said, we're having a picnic this weekend. I didn't mention who she said this to. So I just reported my sentence. That's it. There is nothing used after said. I mean, there is no indirect object used after said. In indirect speech, say is more common than tell. She said this, she said that. If you want to mention the listener, if you insist, either use tell or say to. Like, they're having a picnic this weekend, she told me. Or she told me they're having a picnic this weekend. Or she said to me, they're having a picnic this weekend. So if you do want to mention the listener and you say, you have to use it with the preposition to. Therefore, the common mistakes that you need to avoid here are, they're having a picnic this weekend, she told. She told me. She said me they're having a picnic this weekend. She said to me. When reporting questions, use ask or say, not tell. And I mean questions, not requests. Do not confuse them with requests. They're different. Like, did you call Janet? It's a question. Someone will answer yes or no. Or even in WH questions, someone will answer with some information. Did you call Janet? She asked. Did you call Janet? She said. When reporting greetings, congratulations, or other wishes, use say, not tell. Like, have a lovely weekend, he said. He wished me a lovely weekend. Not, he told me to have a lovely weekend. No. During the next few seconds, you're going to be seeing a list of other reporting verbs you can use. You don't always use say, ask, tell, right? And that's it for today, guys. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please don't forget to hit the like button. And also, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. You won't regret it. If you have any questions about English, grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, or anything else, don't hesitate. Write them in the comments. I will respond. By the way, have you ever participated in the quizzes I share in my community tab? If you haven't, go check them out, please. And don't miss out on my shorts. I share a new lesson there every single day. Take care, guys. See ya.